Yeah, it is May 11th, and we're in another episode of Stand Tall. We're in The Art of War, Chapter 10, Terrain, verse 25. Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look upon them as your beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto death. So, if your soldiers are like your children, obviously that means you've got to take care of them as such. You can't let them just go into harm's way, unless it's a fight to the death. And if you take care of them in such a way, they will follow you to the end of the world, right? Because that's just how it goes. So let us go to the alternate translation. Master Sun says, look upon your soldiers as you do infants, and they willingly go into deep valleys with you. Look upon your soldiers as beloved children, and they willingly die with you. To this, Li Quan responds, if you treat them well, you will get their utmost power. So treating people well, right? That's the golden rule. It's the utmost power, right? Help people get whatever they want, and you can have anything in the world. So regarding your soldiers as infants and children, taking care of them, it's your duty. All right. Now we turn to the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman, May 11th. Guilt is worse than jail. I can personally attest to this. The greatest portion of peace of mind is doing nothing wrong. Those who lack self-control live disoriented and disturbed lives. Seneca, Moral Letters 105.7. Interesting. Those who lack self-control live disoriented and disturbed lives. How often have we set out on a new diet, on a new exercise regimen, on a new habit, or breaking an old habit, only to find ourselves lacking of self-control and becoming, right, disoriented or disturbed? But I think it goes much deeper than that, right? Because he talks about in the title, guilt is worse than jail. So let's see what Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman write for the day. Consider the fugitives who willingly turned themselves in after years on the run. Why would they do that? They were free, one step ahead of the law, but they gave up. Because the guilt and the stress of the fugitive life eventually gets worse than the prospect of lost freedom. In fact, it was its own kind of prison. Okay. How often do you remember that cringe-worthy moment from childhood? That's essentially what this is on a much larger scale. But what about that time you didn't do something quite right? Like the time in kindergarten, I stole a toy snake out of the other kindergarten teacher's toy box because they had different toys than us and I wanted that little toy snake. Like, I benefited me none. I don't have it anymore and it was worth nothing, but I still remember it because it was bad. Like, right. I shouldn't have done it. We have many instances like this in life, and we create our own prison. It's the same reason why, as a child, you might have confessed to a lie to completely unsuspecting parents. It's the reason why one partner might voluntarily admit to crushing infidelity, even though the other partner had no idea. Why are you telling me this? The betrayed shouts as she walks out the door. Because things have been going so well and I couldn't take it anymore. These are immense costs of doing wrong. There are immense costs of doing wrong, not only to society, but to the perpetrator. Look at the lives of most people who reject ethics and discipline, and the chaos and misery that so often follows. This punishment is almost always as bad or worse than whatever society metes out, right? You're a much more strict disciplinarian on yourself because you know, right? Because your id knows, your inner God knows, right? Like your id, your memory, your conscience knows. And that is what is hell on earth. This is why so many petty criminals confess or voluntarily surrender. They don't always stick to it, but at the lowest moment, they finally realize this is no way to live. They want the peace of mind that comes with doing right, and so do you. And so, just as Sun Tzu said, doing right by your soldiers, treating them as infants, and they will follow you to death. Just like not doing right will be the guilty conscience that accompanies you to death. And is that the life that you want to have at the end of the day?